Hey babes, my name is Nadia Sayre, and I am reading to you from my book, The Rebels, which is the first book in the Northwest Uprising trilogy. We are on chapter 12, so if you're brand new here, you might want to head back and start with the prologue. Otherwise, join me, won't you? Chapter 12. We set a fast pace for the next hour to put some distance between us and the scene of our crime. Some jogging and a few turns, and we started to feel better. Well, they did. I still wanted to collapse in tears and sleep. We didn't find a good place to hole up until well after dark. A large building loomed out of the gloom. Plenty of places to hide, plenty of ways out for an enterprising mind. I nodded. Good. What might it once have been? A conference center? An office building? Both likely, and more. Papa had worked in Salem for a time, before the reconstruction of the 99 had so drastically changed the city, and he did tell us that places close to the Willamette River, as we currently were, often doubled and tripled as locations for family outings, weddings, and the like. I had a brief flash of memory. A sunny day in a park. The broad Willamette Valley. I don't edit these videos, so enjoy the bloopers. The broad Willamette sparkled just a stone's throw away. I rode on Papa's shoulders, and he raced through the grass. I screamed and clutched his thinning hair as Mama laughed in the distance and called for him to be careful with me. Then they redid the highway, the current president got into office, and everything went from bad to worse. I pulled away from that and remembered Papa as I'd last seen him. I'd gone home for dinner a few days after Grace's wedding, a few days before leaving on that last fateful camping trip with Sonya. It'd been just him, Sean, and me. It was odd not having Grace and Charlie in the house, but she'd be back in a week, and we were happy, knowing she'd found a good man. We'd laughed and teased, and Papa showed me Grace's room, and how they were moving the furniture and getting it ready for when the newlyweds got home. I'd hugged him before I left, basking in the smell of the machine oil and grease that never left him. Despite the fact that this memory was only a couple months old, it had the same warmth as ones from my childhood. Emerging from the glowing memories of youth to return to the dark reality we now faced hit as hard as ice water. "Where have you been?" Sonya asked, fully breaking my reverie. We were inside the building, and Sonya had gathered some old cardboard boxes to protect us from the cold ground. "Right here," I replied, looking around. When had we gotten inside? Regardless, I struggled upright and pitched in to help. It'd be nice not to freeze tonight. Ha! I know when someone's a million miles away. My mouth quirked sadly. Only a million years. Our quiet conversation was broken by Alex, cursing as she tripped again. "How are the two of you walking so easy?" she demanded. "Why am I the only one who keeps falling?" "Well, for a start, stop squinting. It doesn't help you to see at night." I shook my head, dispelling the last of the golden memories. Alex was startled. "How do you know I was?" I huffed a brief laugh. "Because you're tripping over junk every other step. You need to, soften your eyes, unfocus them a bit. It helps your pupils dilate and lets in more light." It took her a few minutes and a few more stumbles, but eventually her gait evened, just in time to keep her from walking into a door frame. "It actually works," she said, pleased as she pressed a hand to the frame. "Don't sound so surprised," I replied dryly. "I occasionally know something useful." Finished, we stood back to survey our work. Cardboard boxes were piled on the floor, enough to keep us off the ground, more nearby to cover ourselves with. "I never thought I'd see the day when I'd miss the bunker." Alex looked sourly at our rude accommodations. Guess what? This is what striking back at the bastards who own everything looks like. Sonya's teeth gleamed in the dark as she grinned. And you're the one who was pressing so hard for that. I couldn't help smiling a little. Alex glared at me. What? I said. Living rough is always a little fun. Alex rolled her eyes but sat down equitably enough as we huddled together and pulled out bars for dinner. As I ate, my nose twitched. Something in this place smelled bad. I raised my nose, coursing for the scent, and followed it, pulling out the collar of my shirt and sniffing. I curled my lip but didn't stop eating. I hate cold water, but right now I'm almost tempted to jump in if it meant finally being clean. Sonya agreed. You do smell. We'd fit right in on the other side of town. Not so much this side, Alex spoke around her food. Everybody, even the Americans, seem a lot cleaner on this side. Not as beaten down. Classic example of class distinction. I washed down the dry bar with a mouthful of water. History's full of shit like this. Soap wasn't readily available to lower classes in Regency England or thereabouts, and the cleanliness of the person as well as their accent dictated how they were treated. Hell, it's been happening here. We just don't realize it because we're too poor to ever see rich people. I mean, how often did you take showers, Alex? Our place, you can't shower more than twice a week. We couldn't afford the water. And then, to make life really fun, the chip that regulates water temp was broken, so the best we could get was lukewarm water. Real fun in winter. Couldn't get it replaced either, right? Sonya nodded, chewing steadily. I continued. I mean, for fuck's sake, I'm a mechanic that rarely drives. Why didn't you drive? I grinned mirthlessly, too afraid the government would realize I didn't need to fill up very often and start asking questions. People have been disappeared for doing what I did. You know what? Son looked up. I couldn't make out her features, but the somber tone of her voice told me all I needed to know. After we're done here, we should have a little talk with our own government. Because you're right, this is stupid. The way the rapists get... We froze when a thump sounded from the floor above. Abandoning the relative comfort of our boxes, we were on our feet and moving in formation before the sound faded. Ooh, we're not jumpy at all, are we? I grinned as I led the way. It was either that or scream and run. Right at this moment, I only had the two settings. We moved quickly and quietly, and I honestly gained new respect for cops and soldiers. Being the first person around the corner is fucking terrifying! On the second floor, we checked the rooms. All the paintball practice we'd done was less than satisfactory. It couldn't come close to the adrenaline rush of a live scenario. Trying to breathe quietly while my heart raced 100 miles an hour was difficult at best. In a small room halfway down the hall, we found them. Dim moonlight filtered through the small window, illuminating a huddled mass. "Hands up!" I barked. "We are armed! Come out slowly!" A child began crying in fear as the shape separated into three. One large, two small. Tiny, in fact. "Please, don't hurt us," a female voice quavered. "I'm just a mother. I have my girls with me. Please, woman to woman, don't hurt us." Not for the first time, and definitely not the last, I wished we had flashlights. Or even lights. "Shit," Alex breathed behind me. "Lower the guns, you idiots!" Turning back to the woman, she spoke in a soft, soothing tone I'd never heard from her before. "It's okay. We're not going to hurt you. We thought there might be dangerous types here and didn't want to get jumped in the middle of the night." The woman took a deep, trembling breath. "Are you with the Corps?" I paused a moment, trying to remember. "Assholes with red armbands," Alex reminded me. "Right. Nope, Not them. We're just normal people wandering around at night. I tried again. We're not with the soldiers. You're safe with us. Yeah, that seemed like a good way to go. You can put your hands down now, Alex added. The woman immediately pulled her kids close, cuddling them until they calmed. We took them downstairs to the crude nest we'd built. The inconstant moonlight disappeared behind clouds, and a light rain started up. Finally. Like a magician, Sonya produced a thin sheet of flexible plastic from under her shirt, rolled it into a rough cone shape, clipped the top to hold it together, and took it outside to collect rainwater into her canteen. Where the heck, were you hiding that? I asked Son, glancing quickly at the kids. She just chuckled. Unasked, we dipped back into our supplies, pulling out generous portions of food for the newcomers. They tucked in, eating quickly. Going by the hurried, watchful way they ate, I thought maybe they were used to food being taken from them. As they ate, we told a little of our own story, enough to set the mother's mind at ease. Afterward, she told us her story. The first part, the bit about the invasion, was old hat by now. It was after they were gathered into Salem that things got interesting. And sad. My husband was sick off and on for years. But then the work gang they put him on. Her voice thickened. It killed him. She paused to get herself under control. After that, I came to the attention of the Corps. They drafted me and a few other women for cooking, cleaning, and other things. Sonya growled softly and the woman shrank back. Alex slid a hand behind her back to where she kept her knife, probably contemplating murder. Again. I rested my chin on my fists and thought. The corpsmen, are they marked? We heard they have the same tattoo, I said, pulling the woman out of her personal hell. Oh yes, they're marked with a brand. Those of us who work for them were also branded. She pulled back her sleeve, but we couldn't make it out in the dark. Those mother! That was as far as I got before Alex punched me. Hard. Language, she scolded me. Kids pick up bad words so quickly, and you're probably scaring them. The woman sighed in the darkness. Thank you. Kindness is a rare commodity these days. How did you get here? Sonya asked. If you work for them, where are you housed? With them. The young mother gathered her girls to her, holding them tightly. We ran away just this morning. I caught a man trying to corner my girl here. She indicated the elder of the two, who looked no more than 5. He was talking about what he wanted to do to her. She swallowed, then continued. I'm not going back, she said, desperation and hysteria rising. I'd rather be dead. I'd rather my girls were dead than live like that. I won't. She broke down. The girls began crying quietly, frightened by their mother's outburst. Alex turned to me. We're taking these ones with us, she declared. No problem, I told her. Then, back to the woman. You can come with us. If we get out of the city in one piece, we can guarantee more safety than you've known here. And if we don't get out, I'll personally make sure they never touch you or your kids. Weeping softly, she reached out blindly, trying to find me. I took her hand, and the strength of hers surprised me. Maybe I shouldn't have, though. Thank you, she whispered through her tears. Thank you. We should call you something, Sonya broke the quiet. We've been told using names is a bad idea. Apparently it can lead back to people you know. So you need new names. Leo, I said, smiling. We can call her Leo. The woman jerked as if she'd been slapped. You don't have to make fun of me. I know I'm not brave. I've been scared for years. Ah, but you are, I replied. Lack of fear is a sign of stupidity or psychopathy. But doing something despite fear? That's a sign of bravery. Pleased to meet you, Leo. Alex held out her hand. Leo reflexively let go of mine and shook hers. The littlest girl, tears forgotten, giggled sleepily, stood up, took a few steps to me, and plopped herself in my lap. I froze, unsure what to do with a strange, small person. The kid apparently had her own ideas of what should happen, as she promptly curled into me, stuck a thumb in her mouth, and closed her eyes. Is this... I waved at the kid, arms raised, looking helplessly at her mother. Okay? Leo shook her head ruefully. She likes you. You don't have to do much, just wrap her up and keep her warm. The lion's cub has guts, I murmured, opening my jacket and tucking the girl inside. And what about you, little one? Alex asked the older girl. What should we call you? The little girl thought long and hard. Moana, she said eventually. It's her favorite old movie, Leo explained. She knows every song by heart. Leo looked fondly at the little girl. You'll know she's feeling better when she starts singing it again. We gathered up a few more scraps of cardboard to act as mats and blankets and bracketed the mother and daughters between us. Dawn was a long time coming, with the three of us taking turns keeping an ear out, shaking the next person awake when the time came. I rolled over to warm my back and give my hip a break. 3 nights of really rough sleep started to wear on me. On all of us. Alex, triggered by Leo's story, tossed and turned in her sleep, and now both of them had nightmares throughout. I don't know if I slept, but I woke from my final shift feeling like I'd rested a bit. It's an odd thing. Sleep badly in a bed and you feel as if you haven't slept at all. Sleep badly while camping with lots of fresh air, and you're surprisingly functional. I turned over the problem of Alex as I waited for dawn. She'd settled it a bit, and I no longer worried that she'd up and attack me. But at the same time, she was far from stable. I could see her itching for a fight, and if she didn't get one soon, I feared she'd make one. Having one's mind going in circles on problems that can't be fixed is a marvelous way to stay awake. I have to give it that. There ends Chapter 12. I hope you'll join me for Chapter 13. If you enjoyed this, do please subscribe. It's around here somewhere. Maybe like the video. Give me a bit of encouragement. Anyway, you have a good one.